Speedmaster Noam Wittenberg back with another video. Today I'm going to show you how to beat Nelson with the black pieces. Here there are two main things to keep in mind. Try to keep the position as closed as possible, as well as trade off the queens. That's what my previous experience has told me. I stream 4 times a week on Twitch, by the way, streaming at 11 o'clock Central European time in the weekends and 19 o'clock Central European time Monday and Thursday. Let's get the game started. E4 he plays, and let's go C6. This fits our ideology of trying to keep the position as closed as possible. Queen H5, he's notorious for getting his queen quickly out into the game, and he does this here as well. And now we are going to go Knight F6, develop a knight, as well as gain a tempo on our opponent's queen. This is why usually it's not a good idea to get your queen out early in the game, and I hope to show so with this game here. The queen goes to E5, let's go D6, gaining another tempo for development on the queen. Queen G3 is played. Now this, unfortunately for Nelson, gives the pawn on E4 away. The pawn on E4 is not guarded in this position, so I'm going to take it. The knight is under attack, so I'm simply going to move it back. And then let's try and finish development in this position. E5 with the idea of bishop E7 seems logical. However, he is still moving his queen, and this time bishop E7 will be met with a capture on G7. So instead I'll go G6 and then develop the bishop on the G7 square. Later I will castle in this position. He takes on F7, which comes as a major surprise. And this move is a bit inexplicable as it gives away a bishop for a pawn. And the bishop is worth 3 points and the pawn only 1. Let's simply grab the bishop in this position. And we are up a lot of material. Let us proceed to grab the center here, tempting him to take the pawn on E5, which he doesn't. Do I go knight E4 or do I go knight H5 in this position? That is the question. Let's go knight E4 here. Knight takes E5. I'm ready to take on E5 with the bishop. Queen takes E5 and rook E8, and then give some discovered attack check with the knight on E4. He goes knight G5, however. Now, as my opponent has given away a piece previously, we are up a piece here. When you're up material, you want to try and trade off as many pieces as possible because the ratio of the material you're ahead in will become greater than, so I'm very happy to take on G5 in this position. Let's go bishop F5, continuing to develop and attacking the pawn on C2 as well, which my opponent gives away and I will capture. Queen F5 is played. Let's go King E7 in this position, as bishop F5 is met with G4. Then we might have E4 though, so it's not clear if I can perhaps actually go bishop F5. You know what, let's go bishop F5 and simply meet G4 with E4, attacking the queen as well as the rook at the same time and winning some material. Let's take the rook on A1. And then it is a very pleasant surprise that Nelson does not take on F5 in this position. Let's see how we can capitalize on this to the finest degree. Queen D7 looks natural. After pawn takes F5, I'm gonna go queen takes F5, trying to trade off queens. Something we discussed in the beginning of the video is something we should try to do. Going to play bishop G7 here. D5 is played by our opponent. This move doesn't really achieve too much. Knight E3 perhaps is an idea of our opponent to increase the attack on the F5 bishop, which is why I'm gonna play D4 in this position, in order to take away the opportunity of my opponent to go knight E3. Now I will mercilessly capture the pawn on B5, and I do believe that knight takes D4 is simply a blunder, and the knight is left unattended and will be captured. Let's go knight C6, gaining a tempo, as we are attacking the bishop on B4. Later I'm going to take on C3 in this position. And then perhaps we simply want to trade off queens. That's going to be the simplest way to do things here. And on account of the humongous material advantage, I am completely winning now. And now it is only a matter of the hand. Let us play knight D4 here. And then later we can get the final piece on H8 into the game as well. Knight F3. And then I'll strive to construct some checkmate with the rook and with the knight. Let's see if I'll be successful in my mission to do so. So rook d2 here is met with king e3. There is no checkmate here yet. Okay, perhaps f4 to take away the e3 square is a good follow-up. Now I'll take on g6 with the king and perhaps simply push the h-pawn until it promotes. Or I could give a check here, run up with the king to g4, and then I actually see a mate by force. Let's try and mate our opponent on g1. Good game to Nelson. We were able to keep the position quite closed. We gained numerous tempos in development by attacking our opponent's queen, and we were able to trade off queens successfully. I hope this gave you a greater insight in how to play against Nelson, and if it did, don't hesitate to subscribe, like and share the video. It bumps the video up in the algorithm so more players can find out how to beat Nelson.